All right, so we're going to look at how to graph quadratic equations. And we're going to look at how to graph quadratic equations in standard form, as well as when we have a quadratic equation where it's not in standard form, and how to find the vertex from there. But before we start, we know that a quadratic equation has the highest degree, that's 2, or the degree to the variable x is 2. And the graph of any quadratic function is called a parabola. Parabolas are shaped like bowls or inverted bowls, and a parabola can open upward or it can open downward. So it says if the coefficient of the squared term, the x squared, is positive, the parabola opens up. If it's positive, the parabola opens upward. If the coefficient of the squared term is negative, the parabola opens down, or we can say opens downward. So in this section, I just want to look at parts of a parabola and what we're going to be identifying whenever we graph a quadratic equation. And we're definitely going to be identifying the vertex. And the vertex, or the turning point of the parabola, is the lowest point on the graph when it opens upward, and the highest point on the graph when it opens downward. And then we also have what's called the axis of symmetry, which is a line that divides an object in half. Parabolas are symmetric. If a parabola is folded along the axis of symmetry, the two halves match exactly. So parts of a parabola. Well, when we look at the vertex, when the parabola opens upward, okay, the vertex will be the lowest point in the graph here. So as we look at this example, the since this parabola opens upward, the lowest point, which is called the vertex, which is at -2, -3, that will be our vertex of this parabola. Then we have what's called the axis of symmetry, and the axis of symmetry is a line, it's a vertical line. And let me make a note of that. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that divides the parabola in half. So our example we have here, our axis of symmetry is on the line when x is equal to -2. So that is our axis of symmetry. So if I were to ask you to write the equation to this, we would say x is equal to -2. And then also parts of a parabola, and what we've been covering for a while are the intercepts, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And remember, the x-intercepts are points on the x-axis. So we have two x-intercepts here. This is at 2, 0. And then we have another x-intercept, which happens to be at -6, 0. So remember, the x-intercept, we write it out as an ordered pair. And then lastly, we have our y-intercept. Okay, and our y-intercept is a point on the y-axis. So if we were to identify that point here on the y-axis, this would be at 0, 2. So these are the parts of a parabola that we're going to identify to graph the parabola. So instead of creating a table of values, we are going to use the terms that we've covered on this first page to plot the points and create our parabola, which may open upward or may open downward.